Hey besties! Before coming to the UK, travel was top on my priority list, and coming here, I just knew I needed to visit a lot of countries in the world. And I noticed that instinctively I was drawn to solo travel content creators because I felt it took a lot of bravery to actually leave your comfort zone and not just travel to another country, but travel alone. And I knew that when I would start my own traveling, I am definitely going to do a majority of them solo. I have had my first solo trip, and oh my god, I have a lot of things to say. From that trip, I learned some safety tips and also some beautiful aspects of solo traveling, which I would explore in today's video. The first beautiful thing about solo traveling is the beauty of silence. Let's take some minutes to be silent. Some people cannot be silent. Solo traveling taught me that when you are alone, most times you actually hear your own thoughts. A lot of times we hide under or behind the noise just to conceal our deepest thoughts and feelings. It's easy for people to do something like retail therapy or go and hang out with people when they have some internal issues that they should work on. But solo traveling actually gives you that opportunity. See that space, that silence, the fact that there is actually nobody you're talking to. That is bliss. Now, I knew that solo traveling would be amazing, but nothing prepared me for the wholesome self-improvement that happened within me, and it shocked me so much. In just one night, being away from my comfort zone forced me to think about a lot of things. And prior to that solo travel, there was a particular issue that I had, and I was finding it difficult to make decisions about it. But being away from my comfort and in a strange land just forced me. And the next thing I realized, I was journaling, I was writing a lot of goals, and I was crying like shocker. And I was asking myself, why are you crying? Because it just felt like my inner child needed to receive that silence, like it needed to block out the noise. Just remembering it even makes me feel extremely uplifted, and that was how wholesome solo travel was for me. And one thing I learned is it is in the silent moment that you get to know who you really are. Because a lot of times people do not know themselves, they don't like themselves. And hearing this kind of statement can be quite shocking to some people, because one would expect everyone to like themselves, but actually that's not true. What a lot of people do is to hide behind the noise. I was watching a TikTok video. The poster was saying things like there is something called mental health purchase. So when her mental health is triggered or she's going through stuff, she just buys something. Some people will call it retail therapy. It can be called different names, and it's just you buying a possession to address an internal wound or an inner issue that you have, which makes no sense, but people do it. It's the same way some people travel as a way to cure their mental health issues or to cure some challenges they have. I'm not a fan of that, and I remember feeling sad when I saw that lady's TikTok video, because there are other people that will see that video and think it is normal. It is not normal. It is not normal to travel as a way of curing your mental health challenges, or to buy an expensive shoe or handbag as a way of curing how you feel internally, because that rot or that wound is still there, and the money you would spend to buy that bag or to do any form of mental health purchase can be used in therapy or in actually developing yourself. Okay, yes, I know I went on a tangent there. I'm talking about solo traveling, but I also need to address the fact that there is an internal part of you that actually gets uplifted when you solo travel. Now, this video is not even to convince anyone that does not want to solo travel to start solo traveling, because at the end of the day, we all have different paths. Some people would rather travel in groups, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. Even for me, someday I would like to travel in a group, but it most likely would be in a group of friends, not strangers. But this video is for that person that wants to embrace the beauty of solo traveling and wants to hear from someone that has done it and intends to keep doing it, what it actually feels like, and any safety tips to guide. I agree that solo traveling takes a lot of bravery, but I'm all for you only live once, so why not live it authentically? So solo travel is for you if you want to travel the world in your own timing, because if you keep waiting for someone to be ready before you see the world, then sometimes you may wait forever, because you will not have the same timing with your friends, you will not have the same work schedule, you will just not have the same finances. Some things may not align. Of course, with proper planning, you can still travel with other people, but today we are focusing on solo travel, because apart from the personal growth, the self-discovery it gives you, solo travel gives you that flexibility and the control to do what you want to do without waiting for someone else to dictate what you should do. But with everything, solo travel also comes with its own share of disadvantages, but obviously you already know that the advantages far outweigh the disadvantages. But to ensure that you are as safe as you can be, these are my 5 solo travel tips that I got from my Montenegro travel. Now, tip number 1, you may not like it, but the first tip is learn how to lie. I know you may not like it. I said so already. You may not like it. Because when you meet people asking you, are you alone? Did you come alone? Are you new here? This one, that one. You said you want to be opening your mouth and you now say, oh, I am alone. This is my first time here. This is that. You are making yourself an easy target. You're making yourself an easy prey. And if you are a woman, that even heightens the risk. If you are a black woman or a person of color, that skyrockets the risk. So please, you are never alone. In my last video, I actually told the person I met that I came here with 4 brothers. Or if you don't want to toe the path of actually lying, you could ignore, you could deflect, but there may be some situations where it feels like you've been put in a corner, and in such instances, lie. Number 2, be strategic about your location. Now, if you want to solo travel, you cannot be cheap with accommodation. You cannot be trying to cut costs when it comes to accommodation. In fact, your accommodation should be your topmost priority, because where you stay actually set the tone for how your journey is going to look like. And when you are in an accommodation that is safe and secured, that actually makes you feel safe. That actually gives you a lot of security. And if possible, try to stay in a busier city as opposed to staying in a rural area. And the third tip is let someone know about your location. So yes, you're solo traveling, but that does not mean people in your life should not know your whereabouts, because anything could happen. For instance, when I went for my Montenegro trip, I told my brother my location. He knew the hotel I stayed. He knew the basic details. So if you're going to be solo traveling, ensure that you have a 911 around. You have someone that can actually attest to where you are. And this is not just peculiar to solo travel. In fact, it should be a safety measure you should always imbibe. Even if it's when you are just leaving your environment to another place, let someone know. It just helps you. Now, tip 4, learn to stay in public, well-lit spaces, especially if you are walking at night. Don't be going to the corners, especially at night. Like, what are you looking for? What is lost? Stay in public, well-lit places, and ensure that when you are walking, especially at night, you are not plugging earphones or blocking your senses. In line with this, blend in with the locals. Just enjoy the beauty of the new environment you are in. Now, about this part of blending in, some of us may never blend in no matter how hard we tried, because personally I'm a lover of very colorful and vibrant outfits, so it will be difficult to blend in. Even when I was in Montenegro, someone started calling me the red lady. My color code for Montenegro was red, and I was always wearing red. But obviously, you cannot be wearing red and expect to blend in. And in some instances, you may not be able to properly blend in. For instance, if you're a black woman solo traveling in a predominantly white environment, you may not blend in. But at the very least, if you ensure that you are in well-lit spaces, you know some local phrases that will help. Because something I've realized is, in every country, there are unsafe and safe places. Although some countries are safer than others, these basic tips could help. And finally, I would just say trust your gut. And that ties smoothly to one of the beauties of solo traveling. Solo traveling teaches you to trust yourself. It teaches you to trust your own gut, trust your instincts. Now, if you feel something is not right, something is not right. Because I'm a huge fan of energy. If you feel something is not right, you are most likely right. And you don't need to find something logical to prove it for you to know that something is wrong. So even if you're in a place that seems okay, if instinctively you feel something is not right, then leave. So besties, these are my tips and my thoughts about solo traveling. I am a beginner solo traveler and I hope to be an expert one day, because I cannot wait to see the beauty of the world, because it's in silent moments that we get to understand ourselves. It's in silent moments that we get to give ourselves the grace that we deserve. I believe life should be lived wholesomely. It's not just for the gram or to tick off any list. Check in with yourself, and I think that's what solo traveling does for me. Before I forget, besties, if you want to book a one-on-one call with me to discuss anything regarding your career, travel, or lifestyle, do well to click the link in the description box. And I'm going to be dropping a playlist filled with similar content such as this, because obviously we've entered our travel era, and I hope you love this content. Now until I see you next time, stay blessed, remain happy, and